Hi, good evening, and welcome to The Journey's Real. I'm Sheila,
I'm Marianne.
I'm Stacy.
And I'm Beth.
and we are Ride to Ride Out Cancer, and we are talking about everyone's journey, our own journeys, and your journey. Just give us a call. Our number's down at the bottom. It's at the bottom.
Is it? It's at the bottom.
It's at the bottom now, not at the top.
Just
at the bottom.
kidding.
We're episode 3. We're still trying to work on names, so just bear with us tonight.
And we're missing 2 of our panel guests tonight. Bethany, I'm sorry, Brittany and Tammy. Brittany and Tammy are both under the weather tonight, so it's the 4 of us.
Yeah, Brittany and Tammy, we hope you both feel better soon. We love you both.
Absolutely.
We are also on Facebook Live if anybody wants to watch that.
Woohoo! Stepping it up. Stepping it up. So, Bethany is going to start off by telling you what Ride to Ride Out Cancer is.
So Ride Ride Out Cancer is made up of our panel and the gentleman's behind the scenes. We have plenty of other, as I said, behind the scenes, behind the cameras. They help us out. We have several other volunteers. We help cancer patients who are actively going through treatment, actively going through cancer. We help pay bills and utilities, and we have a food pantry here in our home that we help provide food in times of need. So it's things like this and things like the Queen of Hearts, which I'm going to go over tonight as well, that helps make that happen. Tomorrow night, Queen of Hearts, Shepherdsville, Kentucky, Danny's Place. We will be there starting, we get there about 6 o'clock at 2858 Highway 44, Shepherdsville, Kentucky. It is a bar and grill. It is a family-friendly event. Our total is up to $7,772, and the payout as of this moment is $3,886. So that is a very big deal. So if you find the queen, payout is $3,886.
And what happens if you are present and you pull a face card that is not the Queen of Hearts?
Then you win a $50 prize.
That you have to be at Danny's place.
Have to
when
be
we
present.
go.
Have to be present.
So come visit us. The roads are getting better. We called it off last week. Come visit us. Come get your tickets. You can also get tickets on PayPal if you absolutely cannot get out.
And that is paypal.me/Queen of Hearts RTROBC.
And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, which is on the YouTube Ride to Ride Out Cancer called The Journey's Real, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our page. It's very important that we help other people that have cancer.
Because the most comfortable we get in front of these cameras, the crazier it's going to get. Trust me, because we are a mess.
Oh yeah, we're just whining it tonight.
we're just figuring it all out. But the reason for this is so you guys can call in, share your journey, share your experiences, and we share ours and our experiences. None of us are qualified to give any kind of medical advice or any type of advice
Just normal
whatsoever.
people,
Just normal people.
jobs.
Just talking about our own experiences, and it's a support group. We are a support group. We're a support for you, support for each other, and
Support for the community.
yeah, give us a call.
Yeah, just trying to make some emotional healing.
Absolutely. So what got this started is I'm an 11-year cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor, and Marianne was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. So her ideal was to share her journey, and I'm going to share some of mine in hopes that it will help someone else out there that doesn't have someone to talk to or to lean on, that you can anonymously call us or what have you. But Marianne, get us up to date on how things are going this week.
Well, I did find out today that, which I think most people have known now, I'm going to have a double mastectomy. Excuse me. And I'm also going to have the reconstruction. And I did find out the other day that my cancer surgery will be on March the 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day. And since I come from a family that is Irish, I should have the luck of the Irish.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'll actually have the reconstruction surgery afterwards. And
So instead of sunflowers, maybe some 4-leaf clovers.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
When they do the reconstructive, instead of doing the nipples, now, see, I wanted sunflowers because we all love sunflowers, but now she's going to do this on St. Patrick's Day.
And I keep
So that
telling
would be
Sheila-
awesome. We'll do it together. I'll go.
I
Maybe.
keep telling her that she can go ahead and have her sunflowers put on her.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a hard pass for me, guys. I'm already dyeing my hair purple.
She said hard pass.
Hard pass on that. So next week we have a very special guest. It's a grandmother of a baby that has survived cancer.
Yes.
So really, really, really looking forward to meeting with that grandmother and hearing
Mhm.
Layla's story.
Absolutely.
And you know how she helped Layla get through everything. So that's going to be rounding up our month, and then I'm going to be reaching out, making some phone calls, and booking us up for next month.
Yeah, if you'd like to be a guest with this, even just by phone or to come over, we'd love to have you, or some input, suggestions on what you think about what we're doing here. And
And
come
it's not
join
just
us.
about breast cancer.
No.
It's every type of cancer, as you can tell. It started out breast cancer when we first came together with the Ride to Ride Out cancer. It was originally called Ride to Ride Out breast cancer in honor of my husband's cousin, Kathy. Now, she is now an 8-year survivor. Right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Right,
Yep.
8 years.
Mhm. He's back there in his,
just nodding.
Yeah.
Very so lightly.
But our end of this is we're on the other side. I'm fortunate enough not to have cancer, and neither has Bethany, but we have friends and relatives.
Family.
Family has went through it, and we are on the other side of cancer. So there's that whole different aspect of going through it with all of them. So that's my experience, along with hers as well.
And that's important too for people who watch this that may be a family member and a friend,
Mhm.
somebody that just kind of needs to vent or have a little bit of emotional support for them too, because they go through a long journey as well. I know my sisters have gone through a long journey, and you were talking about a friend of yours.
Yeah,
that-
my best friend. Yeah, she put me in my place a few times, and I know that sounds kind of harsh, but I was one that I was very appreciative for the support that I had,
Right.
but also wanted to protect everybody and try to keep life as normal as possible. And there were a couple of times I was having a real rough time later on in my journey, and I just wanted to shut the world out. I didn't. Literally was in my bedroom. My friends were like, "Hey, we're coming over." My best friends had a limo service. They're like, "Hey, we got the limo out. We want to just go for a ride or go out to dinner or whatever." And I was in a rough place and was just like, "No, I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. No, 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 no." So they came over anyway, and I literally ran back to my room and locked the door. And she was the only one who came inside, and she's knocking on the door, and I was like, "I don't want to talk to anybody else." And she's like, "You open this door." And so I did. And when she came in, how she put me in my place was she said, "Listen here, I don't know what it's like, and I can't even say I know what it's like for you, what you're going through." She said, "But you don't know what it's like for me to watch you go through this." And she said, "If the tables were returned or, reversed," she said, "you would be banging down my door, aggravating the snot out of me, wanting to be up in my business, to be there." And she said, and that's what I want.
Was
And
this
right.
before or after your treatment and you lost your hair?
it was after.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after. Even
So
after that
this was after, and you were trying to still process, because we went through your story, and this is a new part of the story
Yeah.
that we never did get to hear. So this is
So-
the in between.
Yeah, so I, like I said, I went through chemotherapy, and then after chemotherapy, I had a bilateral mastectomy and reconstruction. So after doing 6 months or so of chemotherapy and then going through surgery, they told me I was going to have radiation. And by this point, we're almost rounding up to a year of treatment and stuff. And when they said I was going to have radiation, I was just pissed. I'm not even going to play. I didn't want to have it done. I heard that it can affect your reconstruction, and it was just something else to go through. And I fought with the radiologist, was like, no, I don't want to have this done, and I'm not going to have this done. And my sister was with me, and she was like, you are going to have this done. And I was just mad, and I don't want to do this. So it was around that time, and I eventually went to see a behavior oncologist, who is someone who deals with the mental aspect of going through cancer. And I went in to see her, and she was like, what's going on? Because usually I was pretty cutting up, pleasant, what have you. And I said, I'm just pissed. I have so much rage and just mad. And a matter of fact, I went home the day that I'd seen the radiologist and never took my coat off. I went storming in the house and I plopped down in a chair and I sat there and by myself in the house, and it went from daylight to dark, and I still was sitting in this chair with my coat on. And my sister came over to check on me, and she walked in and never said a word. She just went in another room and sat down, and she was like, I knew better than to say anything because I could just tell you were in a dark place that I wasn't going to step into unless you wanted to talk to me. But anyways, I went and told my behavior oncologist this, and she said it was a great way towards the end of this how she described it. She said basically, you have PTSD. She said, and because I said I don't get it. Why am I mad now? Treatments are getting over. I'm about on the other side of this. Mm-hmm. And she said, because you're hitting that year mark, she said, you're finally getting to a point that you can stop and look back and review this last year, what you've been through. She said, so imagine yourself going to a junkyard after you've been in a horrible accident.
Right.
And you're looking through the fence at this car that is just mangled, and you say, oh my gosh, how could anybody survive that? And then it dawns on you, I survived that.
What stage was your cancer again?
Stage 3.
It was stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Ann's is...
She said it's a stage 1. She says she won't know until she actually goes in to do the surgery.
Yeah.
But I know it has grown. It's almost doubled within just a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was a good description on how she said, and so you put up these walls, and I'm sure there's others that do that too, put up these walls on how we're survival mode. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to protect those around me. And then you face what you've been through, and then you start flooding in all these feelings. So we said, I was never mad. You said that too. I was not mad. Were you mad at God? No, I wasn't mad at God. I wasn't mad. I wasn't saying, oh gosh, why me? Being angry. And so I guess all that was build those walls, and then you hit that year, and all of a sudden you're peeping over the wall to see what you've been through, and now you have to process all these feelings. And I think that's why it's a good thing, like what we're doing here, right? Because maybe it'll give somebody an opportunity that they feel that protection and strength to be around their friends and family and their support group, so you're not scaring them anymore, or whatever your reasons are to protect them. That you could call in here and talk to somebody who has maybe felt those things that can relate to what you're going through.
Right.
Well, I think too, keeping a journal. I've heard a lot of people that have gone through it that have been keeping a journal. So my sister actually went out and bought me a journal.
Oh, we have a
Oh,
caller.
we have a
Great.
caller.
Awesome.
Well,
Call
let's see.
from Tammy. To accept, press 1. To send
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Tammy.
Hello, Tammy. What
Hello.
can we talk about?
It's our Tammy.
We was wondering if somebody needed help, like food or bills or anything. What is what do you got to do to be able to get that kind of help?
Okay, so to be able to receive help from Ride Right Out Cancer, all you have to do is get in touch with us on Facebook, or you can call us 502-408-0327. You can also reach out at riderideoutbreastcancer@gmail.com, and let us know that you are in need. And what we require is a address, and I send you the required paperwork. The paperwork comes back to us once it's all filled out correctly. And we just go from there. I'll email you to let you know when we get your paperwork, and you in turn send us copies of the bills that you need help with, and we pay those for you.
Okay. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And another thing, my brother-in-law passed away of liver cancer 2 years ago, and today is his 59th birthday. I'd like to do a shout out for that.
The prayers for you and your family.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would be 59 today. So I just wanted to give a shout out for that. Cancer sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
Yes,
it does.
It absolutely does. Well, Tammy, is there anything else you'd like to talk about today?
No, that would be it. I just wanted to check with that on that.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for calling in.
And we are thinking about you.
No, thank you, babe. See you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's hard, and that's one of the cases, the family members, I just know my sisters alone. I was talking to my sisters the other day, and the one called me, and she said, I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to, call you this week. She said, I love what you're all doing with The Journey's Real, but I can't watch it. And I said, why can you not watch it? She said, because I can't stand to watch you say that you have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it's just devastating.
It
And
is
she
rough.
said, I can't do this. And I said, and I understand that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I said, but what we're trying to do is help people. And she said, I understand that, but I can't deal with it. And she said, and I watch you being so strong about it and talking about it. And she said, but the thing is, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And I get that
We both
aspect
relate to that very well.
of that. I wasn't there for your journey, but hearing your story, I sat here and boo-hooed. I have such a big heart, and I can't stand for anyone to hurt. And that's just how I am. And having known you for as long as I have, for a little over a year now, it just absolutely broke my heart. And I sat here and I talked to Mom. I was like, I don't even know what to say right now.
Right.
Being on the other side of it. And then once, you come over here and you're just like, you got this glowing spirit about you. Look, I'm crying now. Because
She really does. She's a
straight.
fighter.
I seriously, I looked at Mom. I was like, I don't wish this on anybody. I said, but if for ever any reason it does happen to me, I hope I can be like Marianne.
Well, I think, I'm not a superhero or, people
No, but
always say
just-
you're so strong going through it.
I mean, you just found out, and
But I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think the worst part of it, and Stacey probably agrees too, is seeing the people that you love and seeing the sadness. And
Yeah.
you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
right.
I feel like everything's going to be just fine, but to see the sadness in people's eyes and
the fear.
But the
And the fear.
positivity that you absolutely radiate, because I feel like it's one extreme or the other. Either you just go into it and you're just ready to fight, kind of like you were talking about, or it just hits you and you're sad and I don't know, maybe there's other stories out there, but from the ones that I've seen, it's either been,
Yeah, it's either been one or the other.
okay, yeah, we cry a little bit, but we're gonna get through this together, or it just completely crushes you. And it was like you were saying, one of your doctors said, if you go in completely crushed from the jump,
Right.
then that's how it's
Yeah.
gonna
If
be.
you already go in mentally beaten, you're going to have a harder time with survival and fighting it.
Right.
This is going to sound so bizarre, but I say this because I've been into some support groups. I've been to some survivor dinners. The biggest one that I went to several years was right before the Susan G. Komen walk. They had at Buckheads, and so they would put a huge tent on the Indiana side of the river between Buckheads and Rockies, and I think there was like something like 900 women, and they're all breast cancer survivors. Like they didn't bring guests with them; they were all survivors from just weeks of being diagnosed to 20, 30, 40 years out being survivors.
Right.
And this is the biggest hoot of women I have ever seen in my life. I mean, all of them just have this fun, quirky, jolly attitudes. And you could tell the ones that are kind of newly diagnosed because they're still kind of shy and they're kind of looking at these people like, how can you act so happy and this is great? And it's not, you know. But yet, by the time they not a sisterhood that you would want or choose to belong to,
Mhm.
but it's a cool ass sisterhood to be a part of when you
That's
get to
awesome.
know some of
Right.
these ladies that have survived this horrible disease. I mean, they're just very witty. They're positive. I mean, just can have a sense of humor
Right,
and
right.
yeah, it's. But yeah, what you're saying about it's. I think it is so much harder on the families than it is their survivors.
I mean, on that aspect of it, like I watched my sister go through breast cancer. I watched my dad go through esophageal cancer. I watched my mom go through colon cancer, and I watched my brother go through, and this was most recent, and it was the hardest, I think, because he went through, he fought. Like
He fought.
he fought hard. They only gave him a 20% chance of living after they took out most of his intestines and half of his bowel, and then he lived. He survived. He went on surviving, and of all of his, I mean, everything was just ate up, and they just took it all out. So he survived it for 3 years after
Wow.
that. 3 years, not even close to what they thought. But being on the other side of it, I've been around it a lot, and that's why doing what we do means so much to me. But my my dad and watching my dad, that was bad too because he suffered for 2 years.
I was a child,
Yeah,
and I remember that was hard. That was super hard on me because my grandpa was my hero.
Mm-hmm.
He was everything.
so what had happened with him is he had the esophageal cancer. He thought that he had acid reflux.
Mm.
And when he went to the doctor and they came back and they said that he had the esophageal cancer, they took out half of his esophagus and they took his stomach and stretched it
Oh, mercy.
up. But the doctors, he took 5 extra radiation treatments that really wasn't in the plan in the beginning. And when he did that, in the back of his mind, he was thinking that was going to zap it all out of there and he was going to be okay. Well, unfortunately, with that, on the darker side of this, that didn't work. It actually cooked his insides.
Mm-hmm.
And the stitches wouldn't take, and he literally basically died of starvation because all we could do was feed him by a tube and just watch him deteriorate. It was awful. He was.
Yeah.
I was born on my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
So the year that I turned 35 was the year that he passed away. And it was right before our birthday, and he always used to say, when I turned 35, he could turn 35 again because when I was born on his 35th birthday, I took his birthday away.
Oh, wow.
So when I turned 35, we could turn 35 together and just have one set of candles on the cake instead of 2. So it's hard when you're on the other side. So to watch people who you love, and now I've got my best friend that was diagnosed with the lung cancer and it's metastasized into her bones and everything. Now I've got another best friend that has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and then it's hard and constantly on the other side of this, and knock wood, it's not hit me yet. And I did as well have the genetic testing done. I did that just because I was terrified.
Sure,
Because-
understandably so.
I mean, it's all in my family, and thank goodness that it was not genetic. So it did come out negative. But I felt like just as for peace of mind, like I said,
Sure.
I went every step of the way with my sisters. That was my first experience with any kind of cancer was with my sister. His mom kept her colon cancer like I was younger,
Yeah.
so that wasn't something that I understood then. But when my sister got breast cancer, I remember the phone call because I remember Daddy getting the phone call, and it was her 40th birthday, and she was by herself downtown. And when they told her, and of course she didn't drive, she took a bus or a cab or wherever she went and whatever. And back then we had phones on the street, so pay phones. So
Dang, that was a long time ago, wasn't
back
it?
then we had pay phones. So she's calling Daddy from a payphone, and I could hear her, and she was just crying, just screaming and crying. I could hear her. I was like, "What is going on? What in the world?" So I went with her every step of the way. Every step of the way. I went to every doctor's appointment. I would carry this one out with me in the baby carriage to appointments afterwards and all that stuff. But yeah, she was her first surgery. She was just gonna have just one removed. So I was with her in, I guess it was triage, where they was pre-prepping or whatever, and they're marking up her other boob. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And they just looked at me. I was like, that's the wrong booby.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what was going on. She was passed out, and they just looked at me. I was like, you better check your chart again. I said, because you're getting ready to cut the wrong one off.
Look, if she's got to lose one, take the bad one, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was really, this was a long time ago. Now let's just go there. This was a long time ago, but I'll never forget that. I will
Yeah.
never forget that. But after that, it was shortly after that she ended up having to take the other one off anyway, because she had stuff, show up in that one too. So, that was my first experience. And Lord, let me tell you what, I started at a young age trying to deal with this on my, on the other side of cancer. Right. So that's part of my story.
Well, my oldest daughter, when she was 8 years old, she had a best friend.
Mhm.
And that best friend ended up with cancer. And I can't remember, it was bladder cancer. I can't remember what kind it was. It's been so long ago. But she passed away. And for my daughter, Carly, to deal with that at 8 years old, what do you say to the kids?
Right.
It was just very difficult. Now I do remember one time when she went up to spend the night over her house when she was going through it and she had lost all her hair and she would wear bandanas on. And Hannah's mom told me that Carly had walked up and said, "Well, let me take your bandana off and let me see you." And she said, "No." And she said, "Well, I'm sure you're just as beautiful." And then she said that Hannah took it off, and Carly said, "It's just as beautiful as your hair." And, kids look at things a lot different. But then when you have to explain to them, your best friend's no longer here.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine what a child, goes through with something.
So how is she taken now Mom has it? Is that radiating from losing her friend that she worries about you?
Her friend has been gone, I guess it'll be 20 years. Carly is one of these people that's very stoic, and she doesn't really let her emotions out. And she works in the medical field as well as I do. But she is different. She's different. She's very, comforting, and she wants to know everything that's going on. She wants to be there. She calls me all the time. Now, my youngest daughter, she just kind of puts it out of her mind. Maddie doesn't want to really think about it.
Yeah.
And then, my boys have been amazing. I mean, Dylan has been helping us set all this up, and he's, taken his time. He's done an amazing job. Dalton the same way.
Yeah.
Brennan, my oldest son, has had a very difficult time.
Yeah.
With it, but not, like I said, it's just very difficult.
I was going to ask you, do you have a hard time? You said your sister said, I can't watch it. I can't listen
Right.
to you
Right.
say I have cancer.
Right.
Does it bother you to say those words?
It doesn't right now. I don't know whether it's kind of like I'm in a fog, but my faith is so strong. I just don't feel like there's anything that is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
So I can say that I have cancer, no, it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
to say it.
With me, it was always, I can even to this day say, yeah, I'm a breast cancer survivor, but it quickly rolls off the tongue. But if I get talking about my journey a lot of times, or to other people, or telling a story that part of my life flips in, it'll usually be when I was sick. Well, this was before I got sick, or this was when I was sick, or this happened after I was sick. It's very rarely, and it's subconsciously I do it. I don't purposely say, oh, when I was diagnosed with cancer or I wasn't. It's always when I was sick.
Right.
And I mean, there were times, my mom to this day will say, and she said it to the behavior oncologist one time, she said, and to me, she said, I don't believe you're in denial that you're sick. She said, I believe that I was in denial of how sick I was. I wasn't going to accept I was stage 3 or how sick I was. It never crossed my mind I wasn't going to survive. I never feared death. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Now, there were times that I felt so bad when I was going through chemo and I was still working, that even my coworkers didn't know. I would say, oh, I'm going to go. I lived close enough that I could drive home on my lunch period. So I would say, I'm going to go home for lunch. And I would go home, and my body would be aching so bad. And I would run a hot bath and strip down my work clothes, get in the tub and sit there for 20 minutes. And there were a lot of times I would sit there and cry, and I'd have a pity party and say, because I could see this full length mirror. And so I could see myself in my bald head and sit there and cry and say, I've got cancer and I have to take chemotherapy and I've lost my hair. And then get up, dry off, get dressed, and go back into work and pretend like nothing ever happened.
And sometimes you need that cry. Sometimes
Oh,
you have to have that release.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had to, for whatever reason, felt when I was alone, I could break down and do that. And then it was like, you think, well, why didn't you call somebody or get strength from your support group or whatever? Because at the same time, when I would get back up out of that tub and get dressed, I was digging from my own strength. And I heard you say, some people say, the Lord doesn't give you more than you can handle, or you're so strong. People used to tell me, you're the strongest person I know. And I would say, no, I'm not that strong, because if you'd have told me what I was going to go through before I went through it, I would have laughed and said, you're crazy. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I believe that's true, that God gives you what he can handle, not what we can handle. Because there's no way I handled that or was strong enough to do that on my own. There was plenty of times that I called, there was times that I felt, especially going through chemo, that I am in this bubble alone. There's nothing anybody can say. There's nothing anybody can do to make this better. Medicine's not going to, over time, medicine's going to make it better, but it's not taking away the pain and what I feel right now. And so sometimes it felt like it was just me and my faith. I don't know how people do it without faith. And like I said, I didn't know anybody that had family members or friends hadn't gone through what I did. They didn't go through the chemo, or, to reach out and say, is this normal that I'm feeling this way? That I'm, these emotions, this fear, whatever. If I fall apart, am I ever going to be able to get back up and fight this? I think was a big fear that I had too. If I let this down or I let this wall down, will I be able to pick it back up and fight it? So there again, I think it's a good thing that what we're doing. I hope that it really reaches out.
And
to
that's
somebody.
truly why your journey was real.
Exactly.
And that's why we're here.
Exactly.
And I think, there's a quote that I've always loved, and I know Sheila has the quote too, and I was thinking about it last night. It's, you're not waiting for the storm to finish. You're learning to dance in the rain.
Absolutely.
And I
We
think
have that in our
that's
bathroom.
right. That's one of my favorite quotes. And the other favorite thing is by Helen Stoner Rice. It's the bend in the road. And I don't know if you all have ever read that, but it talks about, this is not the end of the road. This is just a bend. And I think that's where, I read inspirational stuff, and I think that's what helps me through.
That's beautiful.
I can tell you, and hopefully I'll be able to share as we do this, the journey is real. We talk about, and I've shared about some of the tougher moments. Man, I could tell you there was a lot of blessings along my journey, and big time blessings along my journey. And so I hope that you see those blessings. I think about that, and I know you will, because I know your faith. That all of a sudden you're like, how can this light come out of in this darkness?
Right.
But there were some, and if you have faith, you see how that path goes. It's been an amazing testimony as far as that goes too. So
We do have a couple of things we need to mention as we wrap up here.
Sure.
It is 8:06.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
it went fast.
I
It
know,
went
really
really
fast.
fast. I think it
Really
went
fast
really
tonight.
well. Couple of shout outs. Would you like to give yours?
Yes, we are going to mention Graphics Edge tonight. Mr. Todd Flagg, who does all of our banners.
Ooh,
Yeah.
he does a great job.
He does
He
our
also
banners, our
does-
flyers,
I was gonna say our flyers.
T-shirts, our sweatshirts, all of our merch. He does our merch.
Merch.
Let's just say that.
Big round of applause
Yes,
for Todd.
Todd,
Thank
we love you. You're amazing. I've known
Yes.
that man since I was 5 years old.
Well, we
He
also
is
need to get
genuine.
some of Jeremy's real merch. If
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
would like
that'd
to
be
purchase
cool.
any
Talk
of
to him
that.
about
That'd
that.
be cool. Hey, Todd, if you're watching, we're getting ready to give you some more work to do, buddy.
But I was also asked to present this as well. We have Heather McDaniel is doing an online Peppered Chef fundraiser
Pampered Chef.
for
Ooh.
Cancer Fest. Sorry,
Yes,
guys.
yeah.
I don't like reading, so
No.
I'm gonna try to. So,
Yeah, we're just not gonna read anything anymore ever.
so she has a store. It is on the Cancer Fest page, not the Cancer Fest from last year, but our new Cancer Fest page. It is
2021.
pamperedchef.com/party/cancerfest. If you guys would go and browse and make purchases, it's going to be in benefit of Cancer Fest. So just to put that out there as well.
So is there a time frame that'll go on, or is it going to go to?
You know,
For
I
2
actually
weeks?
2 weeks,
2 weeks,
and
2
then it's going
2
to benefit
weeks from
Cancer
the
Fest.
peanut gallery back there. Yep.
And
I
everybody
said
loves
that.
Pampered Chef, so go
Yeah.
on there and check out her page. And like I said, like, share, and subscribe our YouTube page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is something totally new for us. We're really trying really hard here, and can't wait for people to start reaching out, because we really feel like this is going to be a good thing, a good support system for those of you who are going through cancer and feel like that you're by yourself, because you're not alone. We're
and
here.
it's not just, families, it's support.
Mhm.
It's all the above. It's every walks of life, from survivors to active to support.
Yeah,
Mhm.
to the
So,
other side. Yeah.
Everyone,
Everyone's journey's real.
So stay with us every Tuesday night at 7:30, and watch us on YouTube. If you don't get to watch us live, or we're actually on Facebook Live too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
But if
did
you
we
don't get to
have-
watch us live, then watch us on YouTube at another time.
Oh, did anybody check the live and see if any questions came through?
Nothing came through.
Just what today is.
There was
It's
another-
Mardi Gras Day. Woo! We got our king cake for later.
Fat Tuesday.
It's
Fat Tuesday.
Mardi Gras.
Woo! So,
You all have a great week.
Have a good
and we'll
night.
See you next week on The Journey's Real.
peace.
Bye.